can only be something by being it, not by thinking about it, waiting for it, or trying to be it. The world is a mirror of all of your concepts, labels, and meanings. The here and now is the portal. It is your awareness to choose and to activate your frequency and start to transform your holographic reality now. So in today's video, I want to share with you how to activate your frequency and be it. Welcome back to the video, guys. My name is Ivan, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to activate the frequency you wish to experience by choosing it and being it. Now, this may be a shock to you, but you've always been choosing your frequency, and therefore you have experienced the reality that you have right now. So if you don't like what you see, you haven't been seeing what you really are. The world is a mirror. Do you actually think that you came here to suffer? Of course not. So who is suffering and why are you suffering? So before you get into the justifications and all the reasons, this is exactly how you've been choosing your frequency. You do it by who you are and who you think you are. I know what you want because I want it too. We are one. If you keep looking at the mirror and you don't like what you see, this is why it reflects it back to you. Now, this may be another shock to you, but your natural state of being is high frequency. So this isn't about raising your frequency. It's about letting go of anything that pulls you down and makes you suffer. You see, suffering is a choice. It requires interpretation. So how is it that you're interpreting the world that is creating your world? The world is conceptual, and it happens within the confines of your mind, which is a manifestation of your consciousness, which is observed by your awareness. You know you are suffering, and this is why you're suffering. In other words, you are choosing it, and you can't explain why. Suffering is an effect from the mind, which builds your identity over time. This is what we know as the ego structure, which is a combination of the world, the body, and your conceptual knowledge. This ego is a thought of me as a person, identity, past, memory, concepts, labels, and this body. We believe that it defines who we are. It's everything you know and everything that you can easily observe. So what are you? You are the awareness that chooses your frequency based on who you identify yourself as. The ego creates many stories about who we are, and they constantly change. When you're not clear on who you think you are, you fall into the ego structure. You can't think yourself into being a frequency because you're only going to doubt it, question it, and place conditions on it. You have to be the frequency. And this means going beyond the ego, concepts, labels, and all thinking. Frequencies are your natural state of being. It's a feeling state, not a thinking state. So when you know who you are, your frequency is high. Identifying as ego, which is body, thinking as a separate individual in life is what lowers your frequency. To put it another way, anything that you can see is lower frequency because it's condensed energy that it's limited to its form. High frequency is the invisible world of energy, which is made from your consciousness and is being vibrationally interpreted by your conceptions of how you are identifying yourself as. Nothing will lower down your frequency more than identifying as a person trying to achieve a higher frequency. This is a mental prism for most people. They look for concepts and knowledge and constant seeking to feel better, which lowers their frequency. If you think you're not something that you want, you can only reinforce that by looking at outside of yourself. The quickest way to activate your frequency and be it is to be present, not think about it. In other words, be aware. This is who you really are. It's the only place where the mind doesn't abide because it only survives when you think about it. It is the ultimate paradox. The present moment is the most important aspect of your existence because it represents your current frequency. Frequencies produce your state of being, which make up your consciousness, which creates the blueprint of your hologram. There is no other moment. This moment is eternal. All concepts of the past, future, and time is the ego's role as a separate individual trying to achieve something. You are the frequency you seek because you can only seek something you are. You realize this by being it. So lose the idea of yourself. Lose the identity of a person trying or waiting to feel better. The mind's kryptonite is to become a nobody because only someone can suffer. Only someone trying to achieve something can separate themselves from what they already are. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't take action. It just means that you let go of all your ideas, expectations, and conditions of how a frequency should feel. This is how we limit ourselves to greater possibilities. It's so much easier to just assume that you are in that frequency. Action comes from the activation of your frequency by being it first and then taking the action that vibrationally represents your frequency. For example, let's say you want to activate the frequency of love. You have to be it first by loving yourself, feeling it by accepting who you are with all of your mistakes and vulnerabilities, and then take the action that demonstrates the love that you have for yourself. It's simple and straightforward, but the ego complicates it by setting up conditions such as only love and accept myself when somebody loves me. This denies what you already are, free from any outcome, because frequencies are without conditions. So as an example, let's say I wanted to activate the frequency of peace. I couldn't only be peaceful if there wasn't any disturbance or noises around me. That is not the frequency of peace. You're either being it or not. This is the importance of presence, to know that there is no future time to be, that you can only be it now. The person will never achieve the frequency because the person doesn't exist. In reality, it's purely conceptual. It lives in the past or in the future, which doesn't exist. Frequencies are felt in the present moment away from thinking and concepts. You're simply just choosing it. The process is to detach who you think that you are, memory, and realize that you've always been a nobody. Focus on embodying the frequency that you want to experience and project it into your hologram. So let's say that you're in the frequency of discontentment because someone is being moody and negative. You have to activate the frequency of contentment by being it and projecting them to be positive. The nature of this holographic reality is that you must be the frequency first, activate it, and then project it to see it. The ego waits to see something first, then creates an attachment, builds expectations in order to achieve it. In other words, your frequency is controlled by outside forces, which of course doesn't exist because it's simply a mirror to reflect who you really are versus who you want to be. You've always been the frequency, but you are attaching yourself to things and limiting yourself with conditions. Attachment, expectations, and conditions are lower frequency, and they're all created by the idea of a separate individual. Activating the frequency you want to embody is going to require practice and repetition because your body is just a conditioning of how you think. As I said earlier, you've always been choosing your frequency, but it was only because you were identifying as a person that your frequency was not of your choosing. The frequency that you're more avid on becomes your natural state of being. So the key is to let go of these lower frequencies by not identifying, not attaching, not placing conditions on higher frequencies. So to end the video, you activate the frequency by being it, not by thinking about it. Let go of concepts, labels, and meanings. Detach and become a nobody and feel the frequency now. Stop waiting for the frequency to come because your hologram will just reflect that. You are the frequency when you choose it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with a friend. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I will see you, as always, in the next video.